All right. Hello, guys. I believe we are live. It has been a while since I've, done a live show, and been a while since I've done one from this setup, so I hope that intro video played all right for you guys. It looked a little janky on my end, but who knows, maybe we'll play it again later in the show. But let me just make sure all my settings are good. All right. We're live. Everything looks good. All right, cool. So, guys, it's Bart Johnson here. We are live. It is Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, April 13th. And today, we are going to talk about the new Star Wars trailer. No, I'm just kidding. As much as I would love to talk about the new Star Wars trailer, something else really cool happened this past week, as you probably gathered from that opening video and from the title of this video. NAB show 2019 in Las Vegas happened, and for the 5th year in a row, I attended the show and went there and checked everything out. NAB, if you have never been, is absolutely huge. It's crazy how much is going on. So it's a lot of stuff happening, and I did my best this year to go around and really just kind of explore and check stuff out and see what was out there, because of course this is the time for all of us to see the new tech, new developments, new techniques, new software, new everything from all these companies. Absolutely everything is there. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my time at the show, and I'm also going to show you guys some of the highlights that I flagged from the show. Now, there's so much stuff that I really had to think kind of hard to boil it down to this list, because one, I didn't get to see everything, because that's almost impossible even in 3 days on the show floor. Two, out of all the stuff that I did see, I couldn't fit all that into a live show if we talked about absolutely everything. And then lastly, I had to take all of that and sort of boil it down into the top things that I wanted to share with you guys. So we're going to do that today. But the beauty of this is that we are live. So instead of just sitting here and listen to me talk, you guys are going to get to interact with me. So if you are in here hanging out in the chat live, I do have the ability to pull that up onto our screen right here. Right here, as you can see. That's always really hard to do. Someone's got a loud car out there. But yeah, so if you're hanging out in here, feel free to talk with me, say hey, let me know if you were at the show, saw anything that you liked, anything that surprised you, anything that you were kind of underwhelmed by, because I've got some of those in here as well. And just feel free to hang out and kind of chill and chat. I do believe we are all live here. Yes, we are. Cool. Or at least all my screens say that we are. So I'm going to go ahead and get us going here. Hey, there we go. My buddy Aaron from New Legend Pictures. Yo, yo, yo. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you can make it in here. But yeah, we're gonna talk about NAB. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of this. So here's the thing. My first 3 years at NAB, I went and I did coverage, booth coverage. It was just me. I was carrying lighting and audio and a camera and all this stuff, and I was just an insane person. And it was great for the channel, and I really loved it, but I didn't get to enjoy the show as much. So I did that for 3 years. And then last year, I changed it up a little bit, and I switched over to I just did one single video, and then I did one of these wrap-up shows as well. So I did like a vlog style thing to see what it's like on the NAB show floor. There are links to all that stuff if you want to check that out down below. But this year, I only actually took my camera to the show floor once. And the rest of the time I just went around with my phone, not worrying about carrying a ton of gear. And it allowed me to hang out with more people, talk with more people, see more stuff, and explore a little bit more, which was cool. So I see we've got Dawson Boyle in here. Did you get to see Aputure's new light bulb? Yes, I did. And we're going to be talking about some stuff from them, because you guys know I love them. I love their stuff. I'm good friends with the guys over there. I did go to their dinner that they had, and got to see all the new tech, and there's a few of their things on this list that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. But before we dive in, a few housekeeping things real quick. So today I have a set of show notes in a Google Doc because there's a lot of information, a lot of photos that I took and stuff like that. So there's a link in the description to that Google Doc if you want to either follow along with the show right now, although I am going to pull it up on screen for us. But if you do want to revisit that later, I'm going to leave that link up down there. So hey, Sean, good buddy, good to see you. Says some of my coworkers got to go to NAB, so I want to get some good info from you before I see them. Yeah, so you can get all the details on the top stuff and impress them. Cool. Well, let's dive right in because we got a lot of stuff to take a look at. So let me make sure my notes pull up here. So here we go. This is my doc that I've put together. Again, link in the description down below, guys, if you want to check this out. Even if you're watching the replay of this video, it's down there for you. I'm not going to take it down so that you can get all these details and links and all that kind of stuff. Links to all this stuff are also in the description down below if you want to read more in-depth articles. I did my best to collect all the information I could for you guys. So, got to stay hydrated talking during these shows. The first thing I want to say is that each year I kind of look for like what the theme is of the show, and some years it's really easy. Like last year was like the year of RGB lighting, hands down. It was everywhere. Everybody had it. But this year I had a little bit of trouble. You know, there were some cameras, there were some lenses, there were some other things. And so what I've sort of self-titled the theme of NAB 2019 to be is I'm calling it the year of they did what? And that means both positive surprises from companies, like stuff I wouldn't have expected, you know, like they did what? And then some kind of confusing and underwhelming surprises, you know, a sort of they did what kind of thing. So the year of they did what is what I'm calling this right now. So let's get right in, guys. This first one was announced before the NAB show, so we kind of knew that. It was coming, but this one was a surprise because this came from the guys at Zcam. Pardon me, got something in my throat. But I don't think the guys at Zcam really understand how April Fool's works, because on April 1st of 2019, all these companies were releasing all these joke products and joke cameras, too good to be true, all that stuff, ha ha ha. But also on that date, Zcam announced a 6K and 8K version of their Zcam E2. But then when April 2nd rolled around, it turns out is a real thing. So it was not a joke. It is a real thing. It's more than just a concept. The thing works. The thing was there. And I beelined right for it to go check it out. So these are some photos of the Zcam E2 S6, which is a Super 35 sensor, 6K. Here they have it with a Canon EF mount, which really sells me because that's the glass that I use. Hey, I see we got Luke in here. Says, been a while since I've been able to be a part of your live streams. Welcome, welcome. Dawson's asking about the highest frame rate for the Zcam. So hang on just one sec and I'll get into that. So here's some photos of it rigged up, you know, Canon lens on it. This was a fully operating model. They had it linked up to a display. It was all set up. So here's some close-ups of it. Here's the back with all the inputs. Again, this dock is available if you guys want to pixel peep these. And here you go. Sure enough, right there it says 6K 24p. So I was playing with it in 6K. So let's get on to its specs here. So the first thing, like I said, the Zcam E2 S6 was not an April Fool's joke. It is real. And not only is the 6K model, but they're going to have 6K versions in both a Super 35, which is the one that I saw there, and a full frame version. That's nuts. And they're going to have an 8K model that's full frame only. Craziness, right? It is dual ISO, and those native ISOs are 400 and 1250. I did play with it. I think its highest ISO was like 102,000 whatever. And obviously it doesn't look good at that. No camera looks good at their maximum ISO, but we wanted to look at what the sort of noise looked like, and it looks pretty decent, and I'm sure it will improve when they get to the release. But it's going to be available in EF or PL PL mounts or Micro Four Thirds mounts. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work with Micro Four Thirds mounts, because obviously that's not going to do much for you on the full frame models, but I'd be interested to see how much coverage you get from what lenses on the Super 35 sensor. I'm not sure if, I think there'd be some vignetting depending on what lens you use, but this remains to be seen. I only saw the EF mount, and that's probably the way I would go anyway, because I'm all EF glass. But here you go. Right now, the specs, so you were asking about frame rates. So the big thing about the previous one, the 4K Zcam E2, was that it could do like 4K at like 120 frames per second. It doesn't seem on this one like they quite have the frame rates completely decided. So they've got it working right now at 6K up to 30 FPS, but they did have some stats listed for frame rates below, the 6K, the 4K, 2K, full HD, all that kind of stuff. But they're still, I think, figuring out exactly how much they can push out of it. I would expect that if we're doing 6K 30p, I do believe they listed 4K at 60, but I don't see why they couldn't do 4K higher. I mean, it is a larger sensor than the Micro Four Thirds one, so maybe it's too much for them to pull off. But keep an eye on this because that's going to shape up. There is even a link here to a news shooter article, and there's a link down in the description. All of these are down in the description, guys, to the articles where I pulled up a lot of the detailed information from. To check that out and keep an eye on it. I actually believe that the S6 is actually already available for pre-order, which is crazy, but we'll get into prices. I'm all over the place. You can tell I'm excited. You can tell this is why this was the first one I had on here. So H.265 internal recording. So we're getting into the land of H.265, but they are hoping to get ProRes. And right now they're pending approval for the licensing of that. So if they get that, you're going to have ProRes internal at these frame rates, and resolutions, which is kind of awesome. It does shoot 12-bit and 14-bit RAW. Crazy. It does take, for internal recording, it takes CFast 2.0 cards, because obviously you're going to need those high speeds. The output, the HDMI output, is a maximum of 4K, which I think is fine. I mean, I don't know of any external recorders that can even record 6K, but you could shoot 6K internally and record 4K to an Atomos at the same time. That's kind of insane, and that's what they were doing. We were outputting 4K to an Atomos Sumo to view it, and I'm like, the fact that it has the ability to not only record 6K internally, but also handle the output of a 4K signal at the same time, that's pretty amazing. It has those LEMO connections along the back for all sorts of power, and also an XLR audio adapter that they're going to sell. So you'll be able to connect XLR microphones to this. And if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, it's these style right here. So there's that actual XLR one. Looks like this is your 12-volt in LEMO. This is where the XLR adapter will go, and looks like this says Control 1 and Control 2, so it looks like you'll be able to plug other accessories in. I guess this is, that's auxiliary 12 volts, so maybe it'll send it out to power something else. This looks like your power in here. But dude, really amazing how far this company has come. From being, like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo camera for the Zcam version 1 a few years ago that was kind of a hunk of junk, but it's insane. So here's your price points. I see Sean is already checking out the price points, but yeah, man, look at this. The S6 6K, so that's your Super 35 size sensor, the one that I have in the pictures, $3,995. Crazy. The F6, which is going to be the full frame 6K, is going to be $4,995, and then the F8, which is that full frame 8K, available in EF or PL mount, is going to be $5,995. So that is really aggressively priced. I didn't put it on here, but they say shipping in October, at least for that S6. Shipping in October, I believe. Pre-orders available now. That's ridiculously cool. I see in here Trevor is saying, yeah, the star of this year is definitely Zcam. yeah, that's why I had them right at the top of the list. The fact that this thing was not a joke is amazing. And I was interested in the Micro Four Thirds 4K one, but a Super 35 EF mount one, that really appeals to me because that's the sensor size that I shoot on my Ursa, and I have all full frame EF lenses, and so this would fit into my workflow. Awesome. I mean, put this thing on a gimbal. It's a box, you know. It's tiny. It's a box like this freaking big. That's just incredible, really. Sorry if the lighting shifts a little bit today, guys. I actually ripped out the ceiling in this room and have been replacing it. And it's not quite finished, so I don't have my my backlight and my side light over here up. So I'm just kind of letting the natural daylight try and fill me in a little bit. But anyway, I see Trevor says they've also just updated the E2 to 4K 240 frames per second. So yeah, the original E2 with the Micro Four Thirds sensor in it, 4K, it was introduced at 120, and now he's saying it'll do 240. That's crazy. That makes this thing an amazing, I don't know if you would call it high-speed camera. Like, it's not like Mythbusters high speed, like a Phantom or something like that, but like a very small, compact, easily mountable, super slow motion camera for sure. Definitely. I'm just taking a look. Oh, Noir's here saying, hopefully you asked Blackmagic Design about Blackmagic Raw on the 4.6K. So I did. I don't have much Blackmagic on here, so I'll address that right now. I have been pestering them very hard about their sort of abandonment of the Ursa Mini 4.6K in terms of updates. They won't even bring the color science to it. They won't bring the, like, just some simple firmware stuff. And Blackmagic Raw, they just keep giving me the same thing. They're like, we don't know. Which usually means no. My dog is barking at the neighbors. He loves watching the neighborhood out there. So if he pops in, he'll see it. Oh, there's another dog outside. But yeah, I did ask them about that. It's not looking good. It's looking like it's looking like I might need to move to the G2 if I want something like that. Let's see what we got here. Trevor's saying the deal is these are just brains, so you can plan on another $2,000 to $3,000 more to get up and running. Are you talking about the Z-Cam? I mean, the Z-Cam takes Sony NPF batteries, so you don't have to buy like a battery plate. You don't have to go with an expensive V-mount battery solution. All the controls are right there on it. It doesn't have a screen, but you can attach any HDMI monitor to it. So I don't think you'd need to spend several $1,000s to get this thing up and running. But yeah. Oh man, look at my time. We spent 20 minutes talking about just this one. That's how awesome it is, but we'll keep trucking along. One thing I am worried about is that they are a very new company, so I would be worried about support and servicing, especially if this was your only camera and you are, you know, relying on it for a living. If something breaks, you know, I don't know what their national distribution and support is like, or international distribution and support, so it might take a while to service. I don't know if they have those things in place. Always something to be wary of with newer companies. So yeah. But yes, yeah, I see Trevor saying there's no monitor. Most people will want to shoot SSD. Well, you can use any monitor on it. You can go as expensive or as cheap as you want. Yeah, people who don't have, people who don't have CFast 2.0 will want to shoot to an SSD, and there are adapters you can get from CFast to SSD to do it. I don't believe, well, maybe it does. It might do USB-C recording, but I'm not sure. But for me, I already have CFast. See, there's Indy checking out the neighborhood. Yes, buddy, I hear you. There was a dog outside. Okay. We're going to have to pick up the pace a little bit here. There's so much stuff. All right. Here's the next thing on the list that was announced the first day of the show. Surprised a lot of people. We're going to gloss through this one quickly because this is not in mine or a lot of people's realm of purchasing capabilities. maybe for rentals. But this is from Atlas Lens Company, the guys who have been killing it out there by making a new line of affordable anamorphics. I mean, compared to old ones, they're still like, you're still talking like $24,000 to $28,000 for, you know, a kit of like 3 or 4 of them. But they came out with a 25mm, which is now the widest one they have and is apparently very difficult to engineer. Here's just a look of some of that anamorphic thrown out of focus on it. Wide anamorphics are notoriously difficult to build. But yeah, just a few notes on this. It is the newest addition to the Orion 2X anamorphic line. It is 134mm outer diameter. There's no pricing or availability right now because it is just a prototype, but I guarantee you it will not be cheap. But their booth was jam-packed, and man, that thing was cool. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about it, I mean, not much else is known. You know, because it's just a prototype. They're just showing that, hey, we can do it. But yeah, so there's a link to an article there. All the links, again, guys, are down in the description down below. And also this Google Doc show notes is available down below as well. Indy, yes, everybody's walking their dogs. A barking husky, who knew? Like, what's going on here? Let's take a quick peek at our chat before we move on to the next thing there. We see we got a lot going on. Yeah, grr, so frustrating. Blackmagic G2 for both of us. Yeah, I'm thinking about that G2 to move up and start moving all of my cameras into Blackmagic RAW territory and all that. But let's see here. So Trevor's saying Cage audio and media to support that amount of data. I think you need to spend $2K. Talking about the Z-Cam as well. Yeah, if you're buying into it new, and you have like no other ecosystem and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it I guess it could. Yeah, I have a difficult time pricing that stuff out because I already have all the ecosystem in place in terms of storage and processing and CFast media and batteries and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I guess if you were coming from nothing to that, then yeah, in addition to the body, you need to get some stuff. Luke is saying, with the Ursa Mini Pro, I don't need the Z-Cam. It ticks off all the boxes for me. Yeah, I'm in that same boat. The Z-Cam is not something that I need, but I want it. And that's dangerous. Yeah. So, we'll see. Like I said, I just picked up the Pocket 4K to add to my lineup, and I didn't need that camera either. So, I gotta be careful here. I can't be just collecting a slew of these cinema cameras. Although it would be nice, but you know. But if there was one, I got my eyeballs on that. Although I got my eyeballs on the Ursa Mini G2 as well. So what am I at now? Like 10 grand? No, this is not working out. This is not working out. This is the problem with NAB. You don't buy anything at NAB, but they basically spend all your money for the rest of the year or years. Got some people saying in here, did I visit the Blackmagic booth? Yes, I did. I always go to the Blackmagic Design Press Conference, so if you guys watched that live when they live streamed it, I was right in the front row, right in front of Grant there. And yeah. And I did have a personal sit-down meeting with them. I always have a meeting later in the week with them where I get to get more hands-on stuff. And let's see here. Trevor says, I'd be surprised if that 25 anamorphic isn't at least 15K. Yeah, I would be too. It sounds like the R&D and the construction to make a 25mm 2X anamorphic is quite a process. So yeah, I would bet it's 10 to 15 at least. Yeah. Sean saying, anything cool from Sony or Panasonic? No, Sony kind of, I don't want to say let everybody down, but everybody was expecting the Sony a7S III, but no news of that yet. I think Sony's kind of playing games with everybody. They're like, yeah, I'm sure they have it. And they're like, we'll just do our own little event and release it in like next month or something. You know, they're like, we don't care about NAB. They always have a huge presence, but nothing there. Panasonic, they had the S1. They only had one of the S1 bodies, but that was there, and that's their full frame. So nothing really of note from those guys, just kind of getting to get hands-on with the products that we already knew existed. So Let's see what we've got in here. Back to our thing here. Okay, so Atlas Orion, you're awesome. I might rent you someday in the future if a client gives me a budget for that, but I don't see you winding up in my personal gear room. Okay, now we get into the kind of, this is one of those they did what things. I see Shark says, rumor is the Panasonic GH6 is coming 2020. See, rumors are dangerous, my friend. I don't pay attention to rumors. Until there's a product in front of me, I don't get my hopes up or do anything like that, because you never know. But anyway, Canon here. So, Canon released a new set of these lenses. They're cinema lenses, and there's... well, let's just get... Here's some photos of them... yeah, let's get right into this. So the Canon Sumire cine lenses. So yes, they are pronounced Sumire, which is Japanese apparently for violet, like the flower, not the color. But yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, the Sumire lenses. No, it's Sumire. So if you hear anybody saying that, now you know the proper pronunciation. But this is what they're saying. They're saying that it's an all-new optical design that presents a softer look, smoother skin tones, and a more organic look, wide open. So this is specifically wide open. I had a call with them prior to the show when they were telling me about these, and I got to ask some questions and we were talking about it. And it is something where obviously it works best wide open. I believe most of them are like a T1.3 or T1.5, and that's where you get it. And then as you start to close down, you know, they start to sharpen up, as most lenses do. But I wanted to make sure to take a look at these at the show, because it's hard to describe a look of a lens over the phone, or even for me to explain it to you guys. But, you know, it has a softer bokeh, that more organic look, less like sharp video craziness, because as they say that we're starting to move into the world of 8K, this is what Canon was saying. They were like, you know, everything starts to look too sharp, like unreal sharp, because we have these pristine, perfect optics and like resolution that's insane, and so it kind of pulls the life and feel out of the image. It ends up looking sterile and sharp and all that, and non-organic, I guess. And so that's what these are meant to do. So they're not just a recoded version of their CNE line, their existing cinema lenses, but they are apparently all new optics inside there. Now, they are identical in size to the CNE line, so they look exactly the same physically. They have a 14 millimeter, 20 millimeter, 24, 35, 50, 85, and 135. So they're all already released in the exact same focal lengths that the CNE lenses are released in. So there you go. But here's the weird thing. They're available in PL mount only. So not only is this the first time that Canon has done a PL mount, but they're only doing a PL mount. They're not even putting their own EF mount on these. And I asked them about that, and they said, you know, it's possible in the future if enough people request it. But what this kind of tells me, both the pricing there, I got the pricing there, look at that, $7,400-ish per lens. So more expensive than the CNE line. These are rental house cameras, or lenses. These are something that rental houses will buy a set, and if you're looking for that specific look for your project that these can provide to you, and you're renting something like an RE or something like that where you have a PL mount, you know, people do own PL mount cameras, but it's usually the really high-end guys. These are rental house lenses. That's just the way I feel. I don't see anybody purchasing these themselves, and if we do see them in the field, I think it's going to be as part of a rental package. So I was kind of confused by that. Canon does a lot of things that surprise us, but this came out of the blue. I didn't even know they were being asked for something like this. You know, Canon's thing is usually optical perfection, and now they kind of like purposely made these not optically perfect to give them some character. And yeah, they're not for me. I mean, if someone wants to, you know, if someone's out there and has an RE and a set of these lenses and is like, hey, you want to shoot some stuff? And then sure. But otherwise, I don't see myself really working with these lenses. Let's take a quick peek at the chat and see what you guys think so far. Trevor says Sony is still feeding off the monster sales of the A7 III. They need to be careful not to get complacent. Yeah, I think Sony's sitting back and just kind of watching everybody and just being like, yeah, you released that? We already got that. You released that? Yeah, we got that. And then they're just going to drop the A7S III, and it's just going to be everything everyone's looked for. I don't even own Sony cameras, but let's be honest, they do a pretty good job when they do the improvements. And yeah, it has been their longest gap for an A7 series camera release so far. So I'm assuming it's going to be good when they do it. 157 Pictures, my good buddy Koichi, who was there at the show with me. Good to see you, buddy. Anything good from the Panasonic booth? I heard the staff there were awesome. So I'm not going to dig myself a hole with Panasonic like Koichi's trying to get me to do here and get them all mad at me. But we did have some less than awesome experience at the booth with some reps who were a little bit rude and kind of brushed us off as customers, and it was just very surprising and wasn't it wasn't a real pleasant experience. So let's just say that. I won't get into the details of it, but they need to look at getting some more personable people there to answer people's questions. That's what I'll say about that. Trying to get me in trouble, Koichi. Trevor says the S1 is shipping. That's a pretty big deal for Panasonic. Yes, the S1 was there. The S1 is where we had our bad experience with the reps, but again, won't get into that. Yeah, it is shipping full frame for Panasonic. That's awesome. They're in the game, man. They're in the full frame game. So let's pop back in here. We're cruising right along. I like it. I think I got worried because we were so excited and spent so much time on that Z-Cam E2. I was like, I'm never going to fit everything in the show in here. So, but that Z-Cam was worth the look. And like I said, there's an article here and link down below as well if you guys want to read a little bit more about those Sumire primes from Canon. All right, here we go. You know that I couldn't go to NAB without hanging out with the lovely gentlemen and ladies over at Aputure. I do go to their dinner where they announce some stuff and get hands-on. But when I first saw this, you know, it's amazing. So we have the 300D Mark II. Yeah, I mean, we knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it to be like here and ready. Like, you know, it's just kind of under the radar, I guess. But I mean, I guess they were due for it. But like they updated the 120D to the 120D Mark II, they have done the same with the 300D. A lot of the upgrades are similar to what happened with that one. So let's get into that. This thing is freaking sweet. I want one very badly. So it is 20% brighter than the Mark I. So just like they did with the 120D when they upgraded it, that one got 20% brighter. This one is also 20% brighter. I did talk to them about how they're doing it. It is a newly designed chip in there that they're using, and they're doing some power stuff and all that, and getting more out of this freaking thing. So the next thing, the power supply and ballast for anyone who has a 300D, it has a huge control box, you know, where you can stick your batteries, or if you want to do AC, you plug this cable in and there's a huge power box to convert that much power. And so you get these two giant things that you need to like run cables to each other to run this thing. They have combined the power supply and the ballast, and ladies and gentlemen, it is fanless. It is passively cooled. I can't tell you how many times we had to like try and hide the AC adapter box because it had a big old fan in it pumping out all that heat from it converting the power. However they've done it, it is now fanless, and that is freaking sweet. Still takes two batteries, V-mount batteries, but this one can run on a single battery, only up to 50% power, But as before, where it was like you had to have 2 or nothing, now you can click 1 battery on there and you can run it up to 50%, which essentially makes it a 120D. So think about that. This is 2 lights in one. 2 batteries, it's a 300D. 1 battery, it's a 120D. That's awesome. That's awesome. So that was just like, they blew me away. So the controller box, it has, so this combined box where your batteries go and all your stuff there, you know, it has all your power and all that stuff into it now. It now has a quick release clamp that can attach to stands. So it has what looks like a super clamp jaw, and then it has a little plate with a quick release, and this thing just snaps on, and then you can clamp it onto, or so you can put the clamp on and you can snap it on. It's got a quick release, it comes off. It's freaking awesome. There's plenty of videos where you guys can go and check this thing out, but that is amazing. Which is funny because I'm actually waiting right now for a Kickstarter project that somebody made called the Thunder Grip, which was really cool. Which was a frame that you could mount onto your original 300D Mark I control box and power box, so that you could add a super clamp to the back and mount them to a stand. Aputure has done it. It's funny because I was talking to them about that and they were like, yeah, we saw that, but we already had this in development. So they didn't rip that guy off. They just both happened to have the brilliant idea and were developing it, which is cool. But his is for the Mark I, and this is built into the Mark II, so that's pretty sweet. There is a 7.5 meter long cable up to the light head, meaning you can get this light head really far away, well, 7.5 meters away from that control box. So you can put it up higher, you can put it farther away, you can hide the control box somewhere else. It's awesome. It now has lighting effects in it. So like the 120D Mark II and like their ALMW, it has lighting effects like lightning and paparazzi strobe and TV and all these things, all controllable. Really freaking cool. 360-degree yoke with improved tightening knob, just like the 120D Mark II. They improve the tightening knob on that yoke so that when you have heavy modifiers on the front, it's not going to tip. And the yoke on it is wide enough so that the light can actually spin within it like a Ferris wheel, man. Like it'll go completely all the way around, which is awesome. The head fixture itself is actually smaller than the original. Not a lot, but it is shorter, which is cool. And this thing is going to be available in the next 2 months for $1,200. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but look at what it's comparing to in terms of HMI lighting and other like huge, super powerful LED lighting. $1,200 is insane to be in this market. Yeah, Aputure, man, just killing it. And the last thing on here is app control. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in a second, because when I first heard that, they were like, oh yeah, it has app control. I'm like, oh man, it's like I got so many pieces of gear I have to control with my phone, and it's a pain in the butt. You know, but this is different, and we're going to talk about it. There's a great article that News Shooter did. I got a lot of News Shooter articles in here. I mean, those guys, that's their job. They're out there, they're crushing it, they're covering it, they got all that stuff. So I have no problem directing you guys to it. So link to that here and link down in the description below. Let's pop out to the chat real quick before we advance on a little bit here. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, those new Canon cinema lenses don't do anything for me. The look is not vintagey and not contemporary. It's some wonky hybrid. Yeah, the Canon lenses, I pass. Sorry, Canon. But let's see. If the stars align the right way, I may pick up a Zcam E2S6 later in the year. But truthfully, I love my Pocket 4K. Yeah, I'm loving the Pocket 4K right now as well. So I don't know if any of you were here early enough. Right when the show started, I did this intro video of some of just the B-roll footage that I shot at NAB that features a lot of these products. But all that was just shot handheld on the Pocket 4K with my Schneider lenses on it, and it was great. People were looking at me like, why are you hand holding a cinema camera with a cinema lens? But you know what? Put it in slow motion, a little warp stabilizer, everything's fine. I just needed a 1-minute highlight video. But if you guys want, I'll play that I'll play that again towards the end, so that if you didn't get to see it, we'll check that out. New Legend Pictures. What's up, Aaron? He says, I met Naris from Aputure at Cinegear Atlanta last summer. He was super happy to learn that I know you. Yeah, Naris is a good dude. Naris is, he's moved on. He is no longer with Aputure, but he has a great job as a photographer for, I think like the mayor of LA or something like that. But yeah, all the people at Aputure are super awesome. I'm glad you got to meet him and let him know that you knew me. And Trevor says, yeah, Aputure is crushing the light game. They really are. And especially for affordable lighting. But they're also doing some really interesting new stuff that's changing the lighting game. And that's a perfect segue into what we're going to take a look at next. So hang on. Would have been a perfect segue if I didn't have to pause to take a drink before I did it. If I could have just gone smoothly into it. Oh well, lesson learned. The next thing we have is another new light from Aputure. This is the Amaran ALMC. So another light in the M lineup, those little small lights. But this thing has some other party tricks, and this thing also holds a kind of signature place along with that 300D Mark II in what's going to be the future of Aputure lighting, and we'll talk about that in a second. But here's some photos of it for you guys. It's got these magnets on the back. I know you can see here. It's got wireless charging. Internal battery for wireless charging. These magnets, yeah, they work. You can magnet it to stuff to mount it. I actually, when we were at the dinner where they revealed these, I stood up on a table and stuck it to one of the lighting fixtures on the ceiling of the restaurant, and I thought I was going to get kicked out. But I can tell you for sure that it's a pretty strong magnet, because I just clicked the light up there and then hopped down off the table, and there it was. But here you go. So here's your little nice readout here, so you can control everything. Hue, saturation, full RGB. You can do all of that. You can do the full color gamut, RGB, or your color temperatures, any of that stuff. Go all the way through. Freaking sweet. And here's the thing. They are, this is just a prototype, but they are doing these cases for wireless charging. So this is a proposed kit of 12. So they're figuring out what size kits to do. I told them if they made a 4 kit, they made that smaller, I would be on it in a heartbeat. So that's crazy. But anyway, let's look at some of the details here. I mentioned some of them, but yeah. So it is full HSI and RGB. I mentioned that. So any color you want, or at least actually 36,000 colors in this little thing. It's got those lighting effects that we're seeing in everything now. The strobe and this one can do like police lights because it's got colors. So it's got fire, like candlelight, like campfire. Awesome lighting effects. We'll get into that a little bit more. Wireless charging. It does still have USB-C. So you don't have to charge it wirelessly, but obviously with those new cases, you'll be able to charge it wirelessly. And they told me that any QI or Qi charger, as however you pronounce it, like the one that I have for my phone, will charge this too. So if you had just a wireless charging pad sitting there, drop it on there. I mean, you won't be charging it on an Apple Power Mat, because that's not going to exist anymore. But any of those chargers, you can charge it on there. Or if you get one of those kits, you have the case. That's cool. But yeah, I saw Trevor mentioned in here the price. It is $79 for a single light, or kits will be available. And like I said, they're still kind of determining what the right sizes are for those kits in terms of number of lights. I told them a 4 kit and I'm in. Like, done. But $79, that's crazy. I was getting a little worried about their M line of lights, because the M9 was the first one. It was $45. Then we had the MX. I think the MX was getting like $100. And then the MW, and the MW was like $150. I was like, we're starting to get out of the affordable range. We got to be really careful here, guys, for these little lights. And they've done it. I mean, this is the best one yet, and it is, I believe the output is comparable to the MX. I don't have the exact lumens and readings or anything like that, but it's $79 for a single light. Awesome. I like that very, very much. And once again, it has the ability to be controlled by an app. You don't have to, because like I said, I showed you, it has this screen and there's a jog dial and buttons and everything on the side to control this and the modes and all that stuff. So you don't need to control it by an app. You can still do it just standalone. But it will have app control. And as you recall, that 300D Mark II also has app control. So we're going to talk about that because I think this is one of the biggest things at the show. Like, honestly. This is the app. Aputure has designed an app that is not out yet. Oh, that's one thing I should say. The MC is due to come out summer of 2019. Anyway, this is the app, also going to come out the same time, summer of 2019. It is called Sidus Link. So you can see in here you have controls of all these different things. You know, this is showing lighting, saturation. These are actually, I was too excited at the dinner to take any photos. I was just playing with everything and, you know, standing on tables and sticking it to the ceiling. So I didn't actually take any photos at the event. So photo credit to Premium Beat. I took these photos straight from Premium Beat's thing. They were obviously at the show doing their job better than I was while I was running around in that room. Because there were a lot of us in that room, and it was pretty cool. But here we're going to get to what's awesome. Aputure Sidus Link app and mesh network ecosystem. A lot of techie words. Let me tell you why this is a huge deal. And I'm amazed that it's Aputure who's doing this, because this is like, they found a way to advance lighting without just like, oh, well, the only thing that a lighting company can do is make their lights smaller and brighter, right? No, this is huge. So this is a new Bluetooth mesh network technology. They actually worked with Bluetooth to implement this brand new tech that was announced like earlier this year or something like that. Or no, maybe last year. But anyway, recently. But what it does is it sets up a mesh network where every light that's attached to this network becomes sort of like a node point that can talk. So the lights all connect and talk with one another, and with your control device, you know, the app being on a phone or an iPad or whatever. And this allows for constant network connection. So everything is always talking to everything else at the same time. So it's very stable. Easy disconnecting and reconnecting. So if your phone dies, your whole thing doesn't go down. That network is still going, and you can just pull out another phone or pull out your tablet and connect to the network again, and everything is still there because they've been talking without the phone. Everything's still running just fine. Or you could have somebody else pop in and use that. Or, you know, add their phone to the network and be able to do stuff. Awesome. It allows for extended range, because if you have lights all over the place and everything, your app was going to connect to whichever one it has the strongest signal with, which then relays it and piggybacks it so it can talk to all the other ones. So basically, it's like having a mesh network in your house where I have little satellite points in different rooms, and whichever one I'm closest to, my phone automatically connects to that, and I still have the strongest signal possible. It's awesome. And here's the crazy thing, up to 65,000 connected devices. Now, I don't know if you have 65,000 Aputure lights, but it's crazy because they were showing like the Wi-Fi standard, and it was like, oh, you can connect like this many. The Bluetooth original standard is like, oh, you can connect this many. And it had limitations, and low limitations. I'm talking like double-digit limitations. 65,000. Crazy. Anyway, let's continue. So the other thing about this is it has two-way communication. So what this means is that not only is your app talking to the lights and telling them what to do, but the app is talking, the lights are talking back to the app, and this is important. And the lights are telling the app what light they are and what they're capable of, so that the appropriate controls come up. So you see this? See how we're looking at like the color spectrum and stuff here? That means that it's an RGB light. So when the app connects, that light is going to tell the app and say, hey, I'm an RGB light and I'm capable of doing this, this, and this. So it'll present those controls. You just tap and connect, or you tap on your 300D, and 300D is going to be like, yo, I can't do any RGB, but here you can adjust my dimming, you can adjust any lighting effects or anything like that that you want to do. That is awesome. No more worrying about, you know, finding the right settings for each light. You just tap on it in there and it's going to immediately tell the app, hey, this is what I'm capable of. Tell me what to do. You have control over effects, colors, presets, all that stuff. So you can group them together. You can share all that stuff, but you have control over those effects. So like lights that didn't have effects before, you can kind of, in theory, add them to it, which is cool. And of course, you can create your own colors and presets of, you know, cop car, but maybe you want it differently. You can do all of that. And then there's a cloud-based community for these effects, settings, and presets. So you can create your own, save them, and share them. And you'll have access to ones that everyone else in the community creates. So if somebody out there has found the absolute perfect, like, say like aquarium light, you know, that bluish green, like if you're in an aquarium, and you can just search and, oh, someone's already made one that's perfect. It's yours. And you can just select which ones you want and which ones you don't, if you want to, you know, keep it really concise, and get rid of all that. So that is freaking cool. They added that color matching that they were talking about with their RGB panel. They added that using your phone's camera, so you can match any color. So what they did was they had the new RC light bulb, which I'm not really going to talk about because I don't think it's quite there yet. But anyway, they had a girl holding it, and they took a picture of her pink hair with the app and made the light match the pink of her hair, just like that. It was awesome. So you have color matching, you point it at something, you save that color, and you create a preset, or you tell a light to go to that, and it's just, oh, it's freaking insane. Or you can immediately match the lighting in any room. You know, just say like, ooh, let's take a reading of this with your thing. Be like, oh, we need to match that fluorescent light or something because we know we're going to have a green cast. It'll match that, and you're done. You just color out the green in the end because everything's going to be slightly green. It's cool. Can you tell I'm excited? Yeah, this is huge. So right now it's implemented in the ALMC, the ALRC. That's their like light bulb style thing that they came out with. Like I said, if you guys want to read about that, this Premium Beat article has all of the things from the announcements at the party, and that includes that light bulb. I didn't really want to go into the light bulb in this one, but also the 300D Mark II. But now you're like, but I've been buying all these Aputure lights for years that use the little RF remotes. So now, what the hell am I supposed to do with all those? They have a device for $99 that's called the Sidus Bridge that's going to be available to connect all of those legacy lights using the RF remote system to the app. And you only need one. This is one thing. It looks like a little router almost. Plug it in on set, and it will connect to all of your RF lights, just like you used to set them to channels and groups and tell them to do stuff. And it will allow you to control all of those through the new Sidus Link app. That is amazing. All the way back to, what is it, the Amaran like 672s. You know, anything that takes the Aputure remote, because they've never changed the remote system. So I still have mine right here. They've never changed this. So now everything that uses this can still connect with one $99 bridge. Awesome. Awesome. All coming summer 2019. Mic drop. There you go. So let's take a peek at the chat. I know that was a lot of information right there. But yeah, so Trevor's saying lighting networks. Yeah, smiley faces across the board, man. Welcome to modular lighting systems and take my money, Aputure. Yeah. I had no idea that this was something that they were developing. This was one of those, they did what? This is something that, like, I mean, the ability to have a lighting network that's modular and controllable. I mean, it's like wireless DMX from an iPad or an iPhone. Like, it really is. You have control over everything, and you don't have to worry about setting everything up. And like, oh, no, I have to disconnect from that light and connect to that one. You don't have to worry about like, oh, you know, this light can't do RGB, so just ignore the RGB settings. The light is going to tell the app what it does. It's awesome. And not only is it awesome, but it's coming in summer of 2019. So way to go, Aputure. That's just amazing. The forethought on that to take lighting into the software realm is something I never would have thought of, and something that you would kind of expect to see from the no slight to Aputure, but the bigger companies. But Aputure is becoming a real serious player, and I think this is just even more proof of that. They make more than just bright lights. They're making bright lights that are smart and easy to use now, which is crazy. Love these things. No, I'm not sponsored by Honest Tea, but if anybody knows somebody over there and wants to send them my way for a weekly sponsorship, it's pretty much what I drink all the time anyway. But anyway, so let's see where we head next. Okay. This is for you Pocket 4K users out there, of whom I am one. This is another one that's kind of a, they did what? You'll see. Blackmagic Pocket 4K got a battery grip. As we all know who have this camera, if you're running it on the LPE6 batteries inside, it runs maybe 40 minutes and then it dies on you, and sometimes it likes to die just whenever it chooses. So they created a battery grip, and that's their solution for it. So here it is. It's, you know, kind of big. I'm going to talk about their battery choice here in a second, because these are Sony batteries. The, what are they, 550, 570 size NPFs, L series batteries. Yeah, and here it is. The thing's coming in at $245. So not cheap, man. But here are my thoughts. The Blackmagic Pocket was not exactly pocket sized in the first place. I know, we've made that joke forever now. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, you just made it bigger. It's basically a Blackmagic 1DX with that grip on there. Now this grip does have the same carbon fiber construction as the camera body. A lot of people have said the camera feels cheap and plasticky. Well, that's because it's a carbon fiber composite. It's not cheap and it's not plastic, but it is very lightweight, so that's good. It has a battery tray that slides out, so I don't know if you have a preference on that. Some people seem to prefer something different. I really don't use battery grips. But yeah, it has a tray that slides out that holds 2 Sony L batteries. And this is where I got a little confused, because the camera takes LPE6 batteries. So I understand using Sony batteries because, yeah, they do have a higher capacity. They are going to last longer. But in the event that you want to take this grip on and off during a shoot, you know, say you want to put it on a gimbal and you want to take the grip off and you want it to be a little bit smaller, or, you know, you have something where it won't fit and it's a little bulky, you're now carrying 2 sets of batteries from 2 different brands. I really feel like the choice should have been to just put Sony L batteries in the camera in the first place, to be honest. But do make note of that. It's different batteries in this guy. So that's... I get it, but I don't. Well, I get it, but I'm disappointed, I guess. And it is shipping in August, so that's what they say. They're finishing it up. And here's the funny thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I went and I was having my meeting with them and was looking at all these different things. And while I was shooting my B-roll of the battery grip, the battery in my Pocket 4K died. So... it was kind of funny. I even mentioned it to them. I was like, oh, well, you know, I see why you made the battery grip, because the battery in my camera just cut out and died. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. But if you do want to learn more about that, there is a link to a No Film School article here. So links down in the description below. Again, guys, if you want to check all of that out. We're at about the hour mark. I got a few things left, so we're going to try and rocket our way through here. This was a surprise. Out of nowhere, Sharp has made a camera. Now, I know they made cameras way back in the day, but not like this. They've made a Micro Four Thirds camera. And it's 8K. It's an 8K Micro Four Thirds camera from Sharp. So let's look at some. So it has this big old screen, flips out, all articulating. Touchscreen for the controls and whatnot. Like, where did this come from? So yeah, like I said, they did what? So Sharp is making a Micro Four Thirds 8K camera. Question mark? What? Okay. Just some details on it. You know, it's very early. We did get to play with it a little bit. I don't know really what to say about it. It's just interesting. But let's see. It's a 33 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensor. It goes up to ISO 10,000. We did see some really bad fixed pattern noise on it, but of course these are probably prototypes and all that kind of stuff. But it'll shoot full HD, 2K, 4K, and 6K in H.264 and H.265. Not sure why 8K isn't listed on there. Not sure what it's shooting that in, but these are just the specs that I pulled. It has that 5.5-inch touchscreen that's articulating. It takes Canon LPE6 batteries, so we'll see if it's plagued by the same problems as the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. But this thing isn't shooting RAW or anything like that, so I don't think it will be. I think it will probably get some good juice out of that. But here's something that's nice. They do have a headphone jack. They do have a 3.5 millimeter audio input, and they have a mini XLR input. So good on them for that, and knowing that we do need sound. It has HDMI and USB-C interfaces. It has no log gamma, so no log currently, so no Sharp log yet. And there's no pricing or availability just yet. But I did want to pop by and take a look at it and play with it. You know, it's a little wonky right now, but obviously it's new, and who knows, maybe Sharp is gonna make a run for this this camera world. And here's an article on it from Premium Beat, link in the description down below if you want to read more about it. I'm just trying to get us wrapped up and out of here. I asked Sharp kind of why they made a an 8K Micro Four Thirds camera, or even why they made a camera, and their only answer was to make content for their 8K displays. Okay, sure. So let's keep moving along. Here we go. We're going to head back to Blackmagic. I think we're getting close to the end here. So there's actually two things in here. DaVinci Resolve 16. I just got 15. I still haven't used 15, but now there's 16. Luckily, it's not a huge, massive overhaul, but it is. It's got some new features, and there's some new hardware that's kind of interesting. But yeah, let's take a peek at the chat real quick. Who just popped in? Oh, Trevor says, I'm not sure what Sharp are doing. It's cool, but you need a whole ecosystem, not just a camera. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing either. Maybe it'll be awesome. You know, maybe once they get it refined, it'll be an awesome camera. Or maybe it'll just be their first footstep into the camera world, and maybe give them 3 years and we'll be seeing you know, some really high-end specs coming from Sharp small form factor cameras. But yeah, I don't think that one is the one. I could be wrong though. You know, I could be putting my foot in my mouth. But from what I saw, not so much. Trevor is saying, I'm planning on to install Resolve 16 this weekend. Massive number of new features. Dude, hold off on that. No joke. Right now it is a public beta. Hi, Indy. Is there somebody out there? Good boy. Right now it's a public beta, and they do fully admit that it has some bugs. Even when they were showing it during the press conference, if you watch the live stream, it had some quirks and some bugs. So unless you're starting all new projects, like you don't have any projects in Resolve 15 that you're trying to finish up, do not update yet. Just saying. But if you're clean slate and you're good to just start new projects and play with it, then go ahead and play with it. But yeah, just a forewarning there. Let's move right along. So here we go. So we've got DaVinci Resolve 16 and the editor's keyboard. Blackmagic released a lot of control surfaces and all that kind of stuff for Resolve, but this one kind of caught my eye a little bit. But yeah, you're going to do a side-by-side install. That's a good idea, safe. But anyway, there's lots and lots of updates to Resolve. I can't get into all of them, and because I'm not a super, I'm really not even a Resolve user yet. I want to, yeah, I couldn't even explain what some of the updates are, even though they've been shown to me. But here are some that I thought were pretty cool. They now have GPU-driven scopes, so you can get your scopes that come up while you're playing, large footage, and it's not going to bog you down to have the scopes and the footage going at the same time. So the scopes are GPU-driven. They added this new cut page that allows you to make like an assembly cut insanely fast. It uses their like AI engines to know, so you don't have to be right on the cut point or whatever. It knows that if you're close enough to it, it's like, he's talking about that edit point and all that stuff. And it's just so fast for how you could fly through it, especially with multicam stuff, to be able to just drop the things in. I really suggest you go and check out more in detail on that than I can even show you guys, but really cool. The other thing that kind of surprised me, After Effects just released the content aware fill thing where you can just make objects disappear from video. Guess who else did it? And they did it in the press conference and just kind of were like, yeah, like it was no biggie. They're doing what they call object removal. It's the same thing. They drew a mask around a character in the background and they were like, all right, and do this, and it tracks him, and let's make him go away. Gone. And then they moved on to the next feature. So watch out, After Effects. You were special for a few days before Blackmagic pulled that out. So that was pretty freaking awesome. So yeah, the beta is available now. It does still admittedly have bugs. They know that. And here's one thing I did want to say, because I've been wrong about this in the past. So there's a free version, as always. You can get it. And then there's the studio version. And the studio version is a free upgrade from any previous version of Resolve. Or if you want to buy the studio version new, like you don't have a previous version, you can buy into it for $2.99. Now, I, for whatever reason, was under the impression that it was a paid upgrade. I know that they always do it free, but I thought there was a paid upgrade jump from 12 to 14, because they skipped 13 altogether. But I guess I was wrong. Which means that I was sitting on version 12.5 for forever without updating, because I thought I would have to pay. And then I got 15 when I got the pocket camera. And then I thought I was going to have to pay again for this, but they're like, no, we've never charged for upgrades. So that's my mistake. If you have bought a Blackmagic camera, you have any edition of the studio version, you can upgrade to it. So that's not a problem. The other thing that I do want to talk about is the keyboard. So let's go up here. So this is the keyboard here. It is all metal. It may seem a little ridiculous, but it is really tailored for the operating of DaVinci and scrubbing through timelines and all that stuff. It's more than just doing assigning hotkeys to your keyboard. It is a dedicated control surface. It has this jog dial here, which does multiple controls, and actually has an electronic clutch that gets engaged in certain versions. So it's not just a spinning knob. It has an electronic clutch in there, which is kind of crazy. But it's $9.95. So $9.95 I think is a bit pricey. I would say maybe if it was $500 I would get it, because I do understand that it's more than just a keyboard with fancy keycaps on it where they've reprogrammed hotkeys. There is mechanics and stuff in it for that jog wheel, and I think if I were to get into Resolve, which I do plan to, it would be a really good control service. But I don't know about $1,000 on it. So. And Trevor is saying here, I think that's the end of our line here, guys, but Trevor's saying, Oh, sorry, Trevor. Didn't like your comment for some reason, but there it is. You said if grading is your livelihood, then 1K is okay. Otherwise, nah. So actually, this is not really meant for grading. This is for editing. So there are plenty of other services with dials and controls for doing color grading. But if you look at this thing, man, this thing is for editing. I mean, it's got trims, transitions, insert, in and out points, all that kind of stuff. Tons of other controls that I couldn't even explain to you. And then this jog wheel is for scrubbing through stuff. And then you engage this jog mode and scroll mode and all this. There's a lot to it. And I recommend you go to the Blackmagic site and check that out. They're going to have all the details that you're going to want about that over there. But yeah, for color grading, you would need a different control surface. But for editing, especially for that new cut page, I mean, you can slam out a rough assembly with this thing so fast. That's why I'm really interested in it. But yeah, that price is going to take a little bit of convincing for me. You say, well, that's bonkers. I thought it was a grading board. Yeah, it's not designed for grading. It's designed for editing, which is really cool. But anyway, I think that's it. Hang on, let me check here. Did I have anything else? Any other secrets? Any other? Nope. That is gonna be it, guys. So like I said, there were a ton of other things at NAB, a ton of things that I didn't get to see, and a ton of things that I did see, and we just don't have time to talk about. But I thought these were kind of our top ones to show off that really struck me in both good ways and kind of what were they thinking ways. So please let me know, guys, if you are watching this video after the fact on the replay. Let me know down in the comments below sort of what you think of both the things I listed here, or if there's anything at the show that I didn't mention that either you were really disappointed in or that you're really excited for. So I'd really love to see all of that, because I spend 3 days spending all my time on the show floor, but it still is impossible to see everything. And it's crazy. NAB is a really good time. Yeah, Trevor's asking like any good mic stuff. You know, I'm not really an audio guy, so I don't really go and check out the microphones, but I'm sure there was really good mic stuff. I just didn't make it a priority to go see. I know Deity microphones, because they're right next to Aputure. They've got some really cool stuff. They've got a new wireless system with a dual transmitter to a single receiver setup that looks really interesting at a really affordable price point. I think it's like $600 something, which is absolutely crazy. But so that's really all I saw in terms of audio and whatnot. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out. NAB 2019 was a fantastic time. I got to see some of you guys there. Some of you came up and said hello to me, so that's fantastic. But otherwise, if we can't see each other in person, the second best thing is to hang out here live on Saturdays. And so I'm glad you guys could join, and we had a good conversation going in the chat there. But anyway, guys, we have gone about an hour and 15 minutes, and I don't want this to run forever long. But maybe I'll close it out by again showing that video that I cut together with just some of my B-roll stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage, I guess. Roll that beautiful NAB footage. All right, guys, hope this works. Let's see, and I'll see you next time.